Live.
Hey everybody! One of the best things you can do in your kitchen is have a lot of bowls of a lot of sizes. Because when you need to prepare stuff and wash stuff and all that stuff, I should stop saying that word. You can set it aside, and whatever surface you're using to prepare stuff is clear. We're doing a few things today. It's just kind of a general lesson on vegetarian cooking, which is just as difficult and easy as cooking with a lot of meat and stuff.
Hi, Sandy.
Hey, Sandy. Can you turn the music down just a little bit?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got some fingerling potatoes here. These are from Aldi. So they come in different little colors and stuff. They're fun. They're really easy to just cut in half and roast them. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a few more things. But to get started, I wanted to let you know a super easy way, cheap way to clean things. Don't go out and buy one of those brass scrubby doohickeys. Those are hard on your pans, especially the pans that have coatings, even though I don't really like those. I have a couple. I prefer like all stainless steel ones or copper if I can afford it, which I usually can't. Your vegetables will come in these little packages of this plasticky stuff. All you have to do is wad it up and start scrubbing. And it's an incredible scrubber that's
Free.
Essentially free, because you already bought the thing it came in, which this is what these came in. And I cleaned both of these pans with it. Super easy and basically free.
Show us the finished product.
Oh, well, they're not pristine, but that was just soap and water. But they're not perfect. But all the food is off them. They're smooth.
This one we use a lot.
I use these a little too much. I should probably deep clean them, which we could go over that later. But anyway, if you are going to deep clean stuff, I highly recommend Barkeeper's Friend. It's essentially like overpowered baking soda.
You're right, Sandy. The UMW does make scrubbies out of those.
Yeah, like it's great stuff. Anyway, we have a few different things today we're going to make. We have a...
Internet. Say hi to Greta.
What? Oh, okay. Anyway, so we have a can of cannellini beans here. Cannellini. Yeah, I always say either cannelli or cannellini. I always change it every time I say it. Cannellini beans. They're... The title's right. They're basically just white kidney beans. You can use navy beans, whatever. Really any beans you want. But basically, we're actually going to microwave these. I'm usually against that. But it's a quick, easy thing to do. The other night, Ashton went out for a girls' night with some of her friends, and I was at home alone, and I was like, what am I going to cook? So I just grabbed a can of these, threw them in a bowl with some butter and some garlic and some herbs and spices, and I microwaved it for like 2 minutes. And it tasted great because our dog is being a psycho right now. Because they're sitting in water their entire life, so they're pre-cooked, so you don't need to boil them for like an hour or anything because they're canned beans. So we'll get to that later. The other thing we have are garbanzo beans, also known as chickpeas. Right here, we're gonna make a fun little vegetarian dish with that, especially if you like spicier stuff. Just
The spice.
Quick tip, if you have a nice wooden cutting board, I highly recommend putting a damp, not a wet, but a damp towel underneath.
And remove it when you're done, or your board will warp.
Remove it when you're done, and then oil your board. But it keeps it from moving. Scout, get out of the kitchen. Get out of the kitchen. Anyway, the first thing we need to do is wash our taters. So we're going to pour them into this colander. And put this bowl underneath. Keep water in there. I'm just going to give them a nice little wash. For those of you wondering, Frank is healing up nicely.
Hey, Debbie.
It's finally sealed and stuff, and so I actually played guitar on a song this week for church, so...
Thank God. Back to regular scheduling.
I obviously didn't use this finger. It was interesting. But yeah. So just drain all that water out. I would highly recommend keeping a bowl of ice water.
Why?
I'm about to explain why I forget my ice. Yeah, I use these little silicone ice pads. They're incredible. They're great. I don't want to explain all the sciencey crap, but basically, when you cut potatoes and they start getting oxygen in them, that's when they turn brown. It doesn't really affect the taste that much, but most people are like, oh, that looks nasty. And so I would throw them in ice water because it stops that chemical process. Also, let's make sure we hone our knife.
Hi, Jill Hale. Hale. I can't talk today. Sorry, Jill.
And remember, this does not sharpen your knife. It just hones it, which means it's straightening the blade, which is also a good thing. We're just going to cut these in half, like so. Just in half. Throw them in the ice bath. And if you want to move it a little faster, you can move these all to your cutting board, which if it's properly oiled, which you could just use olive oil really, it shouldn't absorb too much water and should be perfectly fine. Set this over yonder. We'll cut all these in half real quick. If you're gardening this season and you see a few that are sprouting, you could not cut them and throw them in the dirt. You might get some little potatoes.
That's what I did.
Here's one for your garden. The way I like to cut these so I don't re-injure Frank.
That's a knot, love.
No, they'll turn into a root.
Well, I want it to focus.
Anyway.
Focus. It won't focus.
Point is, if you want to come down here real quick.
I can see it.
Okay, sure. I'm holding it just like this. The knife.
Show it again, but like right here.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah. The knife just goes down the center, and then you grab it, go down and slice at the same time, and pull the knife back so it separates perfectly. You're good. Because if you just try to shove your knife through, just shoving it through, it's not going to cut as well. But if you shove and push it forward at the same time and then bring it back, it'll slice and cut at the same time and be really, really clean cut. This one's kind of wrinkly. It should be fine unless there's mold on the inside, which there's not. So that's perfectly safe to eat.
Explain what you're putting the potatoes in to the people who just joined us.
Okay, so if you just now joined us, we're putting our taters in an ice bath over here. Because when you leave potatoes out in room temp air, or just in air in general, you can put them in regular water, but ice water slows down the process even more. That's when the inside of your potatoes, well, not this one because it's purple. Here's a good one. That's when the inside of your potatoes get all brown and stuff in here and start to oxidize. Again, it doesn't change the taste too much. That's got a root in it. But most people don't like the way that looks, and I agree with them. I like my food to also look good as well as taste good. And so I'm putting them over here in this ice bath just to stop that chemical process from happening. That'll keep our potatoes looking nice and fresh. Plus, like, it's a little extra stage of cleaning, and it gets a little bit more starch off of them, which is a good thing for most dishes. We have a little bitty root there. We'll take that off. And again, obviously these potatoes are pretty small, but if you're working with a full size like sweet potato or russet potato or Yukon Gold or whatever, you can always grab your paring knife. If you see any moldy spots, you can always just cut it out. You don't have to waste a whole potato, especially during coronavirus. We don't need to waste food. We don't ever need to waste food, but especially now. We're almost done. We got 3 more. Remember, I'm pushing down and forward at the same time, so that knife blade does all the work for me, and I don't really have to do much work. So we're over here now. We'll get our colander back out. Give these a quick swish around and pour back through our colander. You can see that water is really milky. That's because of all the starch coming out of the potatoes. There's a piece of ice. Make sure we get all the ice out of there. Should be most of it. Give it a little swish. We'll dry this out real quick, so that way we can do less dishes later.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're gonna also use this as our mixing bowl. You can mix veggies. You can put potatoes in there. You can do carrots. You can throw asparagus in there, whatever. We're gonna roast these in a cast iron skillet. Mainly because I was too lazy to clean my baking sheet. But cast iron also works great. Although cast iron does get really hot and stays hot, you do need to preheat your cast iron quite a bit because cast iron takes a long time to heat up properly and it heats up really uneven. So you need to have at least 20 minutes probably preheating your cast iron, which we do have going on right now. So make sure that these are nice and dry as possible. We can even pat the top with our rag if we want to. Get as much water off as possible. Because most of us know oil and water don't mix very well. So, we'll grab our oil. I am using pure vegetable oil. I'm not using olive oil because olive oil, although it is, healthier and stuff and tastes better and stuff, the smoke point of olive oil is really, really low, which basically means at a lower temperature, olive oil will start smoking and burning. So you have to be really careful with it. Otherwise stuff gets a little too brown for most people's taste. So I'm using vegetable oil. It's cheap. The smoke point is higher, so it'll start burning and smoking at a lot higher temperature, which I've got the oven at like 420 right now. And it's really kind of just a game of knowing your oven and just checking it every 7 minutes or so maybe. But we'll hit it with a bit of salt. With dry hands. Give it a little toss. Dry our hands again. A little more salt for fun. Salt draws out moisture and it tastes good. And then an ungodly amount of black pepper. Because I like black pepper. And since Kenneth really likes the spice, we'll do a little bit of crushed red pepper because it's fun. Most of you are probably saying, that's not a little bit of red pepper. Well, for me it is. Just do what you know that you can handle and what you actually can enjoy spice-wise. And you can add garlic to this. I would add garlic later if you're going to, because garlic will burn very easily. Grab an oven mitt when you grab hot things. You can put rosemary, thyme, you can put whatever you want. And I really can put dried cilantro.
We have fresh rosemary.
Those are all a lot of things I would add later because they burn super easy. Put your hot pan down on a heat-safe surface. We're using cork. Grab your oven mitt. So if you look at this,
no garlic salt, Sandy.
No garlic salt what?
Sandy thinks you should put garlic salt on it.
You can do whatever you want. I'm just going really basic: salt, pepper, a little bit of red pepper, and oil. If you're going to add garlic salt, anything that fine, or anything else that burns really easy, I would wait till they're over halfway done, then add that stuff in later because you've got plenty of oil and fat in there to transport flavor, so you can just mix it around then. So that's just my 2 cents because you might burn most of that.
Sandy said LOL.
LOL. During this portion of the show, I'm going to show you my favorite quarantine drink. It's really easy. You need a La Croix of your preferred flavor. If you drink these, you know they're just sparkling water with natural essenced flavor. That's the cool marketing way of saying we didn't add a lot of flavor to this, which is fine, whatever. What I like to do is grab some of my big fancy cubed ice, throw it in there, Use most of this can, not all of it. It'll overflow. Yeah, that's probably good. I like to rub my lime. Get it nice and warm. This is, are you going to drink the rest of it? Okay. So this is important, what I like to do. So I actually cut the lime. This is a hard one. Be careful with the hard ones because obviously they don't like to cut as easy. Ooh. This one's like a rock.
Just stab it.
No, don't listen to Ashton. That's not safe. Like to roll it around, get it loosened up a bit.
We already have a half.
I'm showing them a thing. Anyway, let's see if that'll go now. Ooh, that's hard. That one is a rock. That's scary. I'm just not gonna cut that. Anyway, make sure you use your limes sooner rather than later before they get rock hard, because then they're really hard to cut even with a very, very, very sharp knife. But what I was going to show you was I'll cut my limes off the center a little bit. I hold it like this. I cut it off the center, I make one half bigger than the other, and then I still hold it like this, and I just go over a little bit, like maybe a centimeter, if that, holding it the same way, and then I cut there. So you can see my cut marks there, those two little marks.
Hey, Sandy says try to put it in the microwave for 30 seconds.
Oh God. Okay, I've tried it before, but I'll do it just for you, Sandy. For 30 seconds?
Yes.
Oh God. That's 3 minutes. No, I need 30 seconds.
You're a dingle.
I usually just use the quick minute button. I don't know how to do 30 seconds on our sneaking. I don't know how to. I only ever use the 1, 2, or 3 minute settings. I never do half minutes. I'll just press the button.
Move. You hit.
This is called comedy right here.
You hit.
She can't do it either.
I do it all the time. You have to clear it. Cook time 30 seconds.
Thank you for your service. Okay, so anyway, we've got a big block of ice in here with some La Croix. Use any sparkling water or flavor of sparkling
Jill
water.
Hale said, "Yikes."
Thank you, Jill.
If it explodes, it's not my fault, says Sandy.
I'll ask my lawyer about that since you're the one who told me to do it. Can you go flip the record real quick? Oh,
Yeah.
it's sizzling. Oh, it's sizzling. I'm stopping.
There's a sizzle.
Ah! It shot out lime liquid.
Is it hot?
So more like 27 seconds, Sandy. Check the power on your microwave. Anyway, since it is warmer, it should be a bit easier to cut.
Scout just headed my elbow. Oh God, no.
Okay, here we go. Oh God. It's a little easier, but it's also squirting out very hot lime liquid. So I'm using my rag to hold it now.
This is a mess.
It's about to be a mess after I do this. Oh God, that's a thing.
Forget hot potato. We can play hot lime.
Let's go. Yeah, I don't trust the microwave thing.
Use my half of the lime right
It's
there.
probably harder than that one was.
I cut it last night.
Yeah. Anyway, what I usually like to do before I was rudely interrupted by that very hard lime, I'll cut a lime in half, but a little off center, so that way you can go back across the center line and cut that out in the middle.
Bring your hands up.
My hands up. You have a circle. Perfectly down the middle, you go a little to the left or right, slice, cut all the way through, you go back across, still holding it together, you go back across and you cut that out, and that's your little lime slice that you can throw in your drink as a garnish. The other two slices, you throw in your fancy juicer thingy-mabobber, and you juice the lime. And then it all ends up in here, and I use a chopstick. And now your mediocre flavored sparkling water is decent and very refreshing, especially on a day like today where it's like 1,000,000 degrees.
It's like 75.
I don't like hot weather. It's 1,000,000 degrees. Anyway, let's check on our taters.
I'm coming over.
Oh, I was okay. Not as if you could smell this, but it does smell good. That's another thing when you're cooking things that you can't really see.
Y'all don't judge my oven.
I guess I'll pull that real quick. If you can't find your oven mitt, just roll up a rag real quick and pull it out. So it looks like that. Got a little bit of browning. Still obviously need a lot more. When I'm baking things in the oven, I'm blessed to have one with glass so I can actually see in there, but if you don't, definitely use your nose because you can smell things changing in the oven quite a bit. Anyway, on to our cannelli beans that we are going to...
I thought it was cannellini.
Cannellini? I don't know. I told you at the beginning of the episode I say it different every time.
Leave the phonetic pronunciation in the comments.
Anyway. So, Ashton's about to laugh at me because she knows I'm very bad at this. I'm good at a lot of things. I'm not good at opening cans. So let's see if
Here, do it over there so I can film.
So let's, right here?
Yeah.
So let's see if I can get this first try. Probably not.
Close the...
It's actually really funny how bad I am at opening cans.
Sandy said good tunes.
Well, that was my next thing I was going to talk about. Was what we're listening to today. Okay, I just missed a spot.
So, funny story behind this can opener.
No.
Kenneth has gone through 3 can openers in our 3 years of marriage. This is number 4. It is a safety can opener that my mother put in his Christmas stocking last year.
It's probably the best Christmas gift I got.
Yeah, because it's literally foolproof. You can't break it.
I can.
And you can't cut yourself on it.
I could probably.
I think you've got it, love.
I gotta do that. There we go.
I'm so proud of you.
Woo! Victory. Victory in Jesus. Oh, that's dirty. You know what? We're just gonna use... Where'd it go? Put it over here. So, I know there's a big debate on what to do with bean water. If we're being very, very technical, coffee beans aren't really beans, but let's use that term anyway. If you're drinking coffee, coffee is just bean water if you think about it.
Hot bean water.
So, we're just gonna pour it all in there.
Water and all.
If you are using, here's the caveat I will agree with. If you're using a can that is not like BPA free and it's not like safe, because there are some cans that are that way, but it's 2020 and most cans, like 90% of cans are perfectly fine to eat out of. Wash it out, recycle it. It's honestly very fine to eat out of. The water is fine, and that's where a lot of your flavor comes from.
Why didn't you just pour the can?
I'm only straining a bit of this.
Oh, okay.
I want to keep most of this liquid in here.
I'm the commentary of everyone thinking who's watching this.
But since I am going to microwave this, I don't want too much liquid because then you get bean juice all over your microwave.
Along with lime juice.
Along with lime juice. Thank you, Sandy. We're going to start with a minute and see what happens. And yeah, while we're doing that,
What are we listening to?
we're going to chop up some garlic after I show you this awesome record. We're listening, is this good?
Up. Okay.
We're listening to James Gang. That is the band that Joe Walsh was in before he joined the Eagles and made his famous Hotel California guitar solo. The album is Rides Again. Here's the back. It's beautiful. There's a beautiful young Joe with his beautiful sunglasses on his motorcycle. That's a cool hat. But anyway, yeah, great album. I love Joe Walsh. I love the Eagles, and this is before he joined the Eagles, so it's like really fun for me as a guitar player to be like, oh, this is Joe Walsh, baby, from the Eagles.
Go cut your garlic.
This is about to go off, so. I don't like the beeping in my microwave, so I stop it a second before it stops. Right there. There we go. We'll leave it shut so it keeps the heat in there. Anyway. Oh, yeah. Get all this skin off. Smack it again. Alright. 2 is probably good. I don't know. Most of you might think this is dangerous, but that's how I like to smash my garlic. The skin comes right off. Flat of the blade. Using the palm, like the ball, bottom part, the butt of your hand. Blade away from you, blade not towards you, blade away from you. Angled down and just works every time. Just pops right off. And then we can slice our garlic. Ooh. You're gonna make sure when you're slicing garlic to probably not just go straight down, but to go down and again forward at the same time. Down and forward. Because it just cuts that much easier.
I don't do that.
You don't?
We get nice little garlic florets.
Florets? This is America. We don't...
Aw, Jill's sad that she has to go eat a salad for dinner.
I could start a delivery service. Anyway, so we have our garlic here. Let's check on our beans and add a sinful amount of butter to them. Make sure your bowl's not too hot. It's not. And remember to season your feed. Even though these have been sitting in a can for a while, we're going to add a little bit of fresh kosher salt. If you have any dietary restrictions, like don't add salt if you don't need to. Again, I like the black pepper. I'm just going to use this chopstick and mix it up because it's right here.
Why are there pecans?
You'll see why there's pecans.
Your oven always, or your kitchen always stresses me out.
Aw. Adding our garlic. Mixing it in there. If you really, really wanted to, you could throw this in a blender and like puree it if you like that texture of soup. I'm too lazy, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to add a very healthy, air quotes around the word healthy.
Which he does with his finger, like a savage.
Okay, if we're cooking in a restaurant, I would use a spoon, but
I can't see what you're doing.
I'm just mixing in butter. Just mixing in butter. And now you're going to eat that bean, aren't you? You are, okay. That's your appetizer. One bean.
Two. There are two beans.
Anyway, you can get this, you can see this getting creamier and creamier. Honestly, if you're just cooking for yourself, just use your finger. If it's not too hot, I would go for another minute. I don't like my beans to be too soft. So I actually, by most people's standards, kind of undercook my beans because I like them to be nice and firm. But over here, real quick, in this large pan, we turn our heat on high so it heats up faster.
It's a bad choice.
No, it's not. So we get an onion. Use yellow or white or red, honestly, whatever you prefer. We're gonna cut off the roots. Gonna cut off the top. Peel off the skin with our 4.5 good fingers. Ooh. Get off there. Oh, the sun just came through our window. That was weird. Anyway, so that's all off. Alright. Going in half here. Can you turn that off, please? Thank you, sous chef / camera woman Ashton. Trying to get all these around the same width so they're consistent. Ooh, popped out. Whatever.
Scout will eat
We'll
it.
save that for later. That's our dog's dessert. Yeah, sure. Again, going 90 degrees to our first cut. Trying to get the same width if we can. I would recommend salting this now. There's my salt. Because that'll draw out moisture again sooner rather than later, and it'll brown quicker, so you cook it for a shorter amount of time, saves you time, and it tastes better. We're going to save this for breakfast. If you want to, you could cut this up now, wash it off in water.
Just eat an onion for breakfast.
You what?
We're just gonna eat an onion for breakfast.
You could use it for omelets or breakfast sandwiches or whatever you want for breakfast. We're not just gonna eat an onion. But you can cut it up now, wash it off in water, throw it in a container with a lid on it, throw it in the fridge, and it's good to go in the morning or even for a few days. Let's check on our pan. That's pretty warm. So we'll go with some oil. That should be enough. Remember, your oil, when it's hot, will start to move a lot more and get more pliable. I'll turn this down a little bit. Let our oil get a little warm before we throw our onions in. We will start our beans now and check on our other dish. Ooh, that bowl's a little hot. But that's okay. Scout, get out of the kitchen.
Ooh.
Scout.
Scout, come on.
Out of the kitchen.
Go on, baby.
Anyway.
Hi, James Prather.
If you want a little more heat in here, you could do that. You could add some hot sauce. You what? Anyway, I'm going to add some green to it. Let's see, what do we want?
Use my fresh rosemary.
I don't want to use fresh rosemary. Fresh herbs are actually not a bad thing.
You look like
What are you doing?
a piece of garlic
Oh
right
my
there.
god. Dried herbs actually pack a lot more flavor and are easier to go into hot, wet dishes like this. So just be aware of that. Where's my... Well, it's in there somewhere. All of the names of these spices rubbed off, and I know about half of them by look.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the sage. Is this the sage? Are you sage?
Give it a sniff.
That is sage. Anyway, we'll drop a little bit of fresh, well not fresh actually,
I have fresh sage.
some dried sage in there. Not too much, because it is pretty potent. Give it a mix. Remember, we've got a lot of salt, pepper, red pepper, and butter in here, along with some of the bean juice. Not all of it. And this is ready to go.
Can I eat it?
Yeah. That's a dish right there. This is really good. Make sure to give it a little blep. Don't burn yourself. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Our oil is very hot now. We can add our onions. Nice little sizzle.
Turn down the heat.
Already did. Give a little saute. Mix everything up. A little bit of black pepper as it goes in. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. Give another little saute. I would probably prep a little more garlic for this one. Same method as before. Flat of your knife blade, smash it, then slice it up. And if you make, again, I said this a few weeks ago, but if you make chicken stock at home, you can save all of the outer skins of your onions and garlic, because that stuff is really good to just throw in a chicken stock. We're going to save our garlic, not add it yet, because it will burn. But we will, however, microwave in a not metal bowl, in a microwave safe bowl, our other beans, which thank the Lord have this little quick open tab. Whoever invented this, I love you, because I hate can openers, as you've already found out. And we're going to pour it into the colander, into the bowl.
Why is this in this?
Why not? That way we have the amount of bean juice we want, which is probably less than that, a little less. That should be good. Another thing for chicken stock or any veggie stocks you're making, because we are vegetarian cooking this week, save all your bean juice. Stuff goes great in veggie stock, it really does. But same thing as before, we're just going to microwave this for about 2 minutes. maybe less. We'll see. Don't touch these too much. We want them to get nice and brown. If you move them around too much, they won't get nice and brown. Let's check on our taters. Let's see here. Again, I don't really know how long they've been in there, but we'll give it a little saute. Got some browning going on. That's nice. They need a little longer. For some of you, 420 degrees might be a bit high for heat. I like roasting on higher heats, but you just have to watch it more because it gets a nice lot of browning around the edges, which I really like. Just personal preference. If you go too high, they will burn no matter what. If you go too low, they'll never cook. Let's see. Waiting on these beans to microwave.
What's going in the pot? They're in there.
The beans.
Oh.
We should probably get some tomatoes ready, actually, now that I think of it. We have these little Campari tomatoes over here. You might see them labeled as like fingerling tomatoes, which is, you know, whatever. You can call them whatever you want. A little bitty round tomatoes, like these. Same thing as the potatoes. We're just going to slice them in half. These little cory bits right here, honestly, I really don't care about them. They're not going to ruin my life. We'll have to throw them in that pan over there, or you could roast them if you wanted to. They're going to cook down, and you're not going to taste them or feel them at all. And it's a real pain and kind of wasteful to just try to slice off the tip of this tomato. So I just cut it down the middle, and it's fine. A lot of the flavor in tomatoes is in the juice and in the seeds, so we try to keep all of that off the board and right here. We just throw them right in. Check on our beans. Woo. Nice and warm. And we're going to hold back on adding these for just a second because they'll add a lot more liquid. The more liquid you have, the less browning that happens. So all this oil in here, we're going to let that brown our tomatoes a little bit and our onions and add some more butter. Judge me. If you can't eat butter for health reasons, don't do it. It's fine. Need something to stir. Here's a little doohickey. Doohickey is a very professional word and can describe anything. Here we go. Nice clean wooden spoon. That'll do the job. Turn our heat up just a little bit since we've added some fresh ingredients. It will bring the temperature down when you add a lot of stuff at one time. Let that cook for a moment. And we'll get the spices ready. And really, we'll be about done when the potatoes come out. Let's see. For this. Where'd it go? A lot of that. This, that. And some of these. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. I need some for there. That should do it. Yeah, that'll do. As we're letting those cook down, you could use a little ramekin or a bowl or even a small glass if you have it, just to mix all of your spices together at once if you really want to. It's all up to you on the ratios that you want. I'm adding a little bit of cumin, however you want to pronounce it. I really don't care as long as we're talking about the same thing. And then a little bit of oregano, not too much for my taste. Don't touch it. No, it's fine. An ungodly amount of paprika, because I really like paprika. So, again, do it to your tastes. Subtract or add whatever spices and herbs you want. Here's a little bit of cayenne, not too much, because this dish is for the whole family. And a lot of turmeric, like a lot of turmeric and a lot of paprika for this dish that I'm doing. call that good. Give a little mix with our hands. Then we'll go back over to our beans. We'll go back over to our beans. Our camera woman was taking a break. Go ahead and add in your beans and the juice. If you wanted to, you could deglaze with a bit of wine or beer or red wine vinegar, or any kind of vinegar or something, to bring all that up off the pan. That's all deglazing does. All of the nice bits of onion and stuff that get cooked into your pan, it lifts them up and brings them into the dish and adds a lot of flavor. But since we have plenty of fat in here, which helps transport flavor again, and this is nice and mixed, we're just going to sprinkle this in. This is why I like to mix it beforehand. Mixing and mixing. Hey, can you go grab me one of those green onions? Oh, the one right there? That works, yeah.
What about this garlic?
What about it?
Is it just instead sitting here?
I'm using it in the dish. Might want to turn the heat back up quite a bit because we just added a bunch of stuff. If you have any leftover rice sitting around, that would be great to throw in here and soak up juices.
Masala, essentially.
It's essentially a riff on Indian masala. But yeah. Give a sniff. Maybe give a taste. Always taste your food as you're cooking it, especially if you're at home and not adhering to restaurant health standards. I'm going to add a little bit more spice to this for my taste. Mix it around. In retrospect, I maybe would have taken a little of this juice out. It's a bit watery. Which if you have the time and the patience, you could just wait about 10 to 15 minutes and let it reduce down into a thicker sauce, which is really good. At this point, I'm going to add that garlic we chopped up earlier.
Do you want me to save any of this for you?
No, I'm good. I got it. You're good. This smells good. Who said vegetarian food couldn't be good? This is weird, I'm aware, and a bit odd. I like to add a bit of soy sauce.
To everything!
Like, you saw how much I added. It's not a lot. It just adds, when I'm doing vegetarian cooking, it adds a bit of savoriness that vegetables typically don't have, that like red meat especially will have. And again, not very much at all. You don't want it to overpower the dish. It just adds a little bit of that savory umami flavor. Umami is U-M-A-M-I. It's a Japanese word. Google it. Now is probably a good time to turn our heat down a little bit. There we go. That's working out nice.
Scout. Tell the internet hi. Scout's not allowed in the kitchen, and so she literally stands on the line.
This. Yeah, she pushes boundaries pretty well.
There's some dirt that I forgot to clean up earlier from a plant.
Oh yeah, she killed a plant today.
Scout killed a plant. I didn't kill a plant.
That's a good sound. So right now, we're just going to add a few whole bay leaves to this.
And put it back in?
Yep. They're almost done. They got a nice bit of browning. They're probably cooked all the way through. But we like to get some nice crispiness on them. This is what they look like right now before going back in for probably 5 more minutes maybe. And since we're cooking from the top down on this, we're going to turn the bake off on our oven and turn the broiler on high. And that should get hot pretty fast. And then over here, to finish up our dish, we're just going to get some of these nice green onions that Sandy brought us the other day. We still have a ton of and are growing more of. These have already been washed with water and peeled. So make sure you do that before you do this. We're just slicing into little medallions, roughly around the same size. They're just going to kind of go on as a garnish because we don't have a lot of fresh greens right now. So this is a great way to bring a bit of freshness and a hint of, not heat spice, but just, you know, that green onion type spice to a dish. We'll throw them in here at the end. They'll get soft for a second. We'll go ahead and turn the heat all the way down and just let these get soft. And then this will basically be ready. And if you wanted to add meat, you could have some kind of meat off to the side and add it in later if you really wanted to.
Scout, get out from under the tripod.
Silly dog. If you wanted to add like a dollop of sour cream to this, which I might do anyway, that's really fun to add some tanginess to this dish that has a lot of spice. And when I say spice in this sense, I don't mean heat, but I mean like paprika, turmeric, all the kinds of like actual spice. Which in mine, in my own bowl, not in the pan, but in my own bowl, I might add a bit of ghost pepper or habanero or something to give some heat to it. And with some sour cream on the side, we'll really, it's got a lot of fat, so it'll balance out that heat. And then at this point, it's not really worth it for the camera, but I was going to crush up these pecans. Don't slice pecans. That's dangerous. And it'll ruin your knife blade. Don't do that. Instead, I crush ice in the same manner. Grab a towel or a rag or whatever you're going to crush up, throw it in the center of the rag, fold it all up, set it down, and get your... I can't find mine, but get your meat tenderizer, or even a hammer, but a meat tenderizer works a lot better. Fold them up all in a towel, get your meat tenderizer, and just hit the towel for about 30 seconds. Check it. If you want it to be finer, hit it some more. And that's how you crush any kind of nut or ice. Do not try to slice those things with a knife. Otherwise your finger will end up looking like this. But anyway, let's check our taters. Oh yeah, it's looking good. Go ahead and turn the broiler off, because broilers, when they're set on high and your pan is really high in the oven, will burn things pretty quick. Alright, that's looking good. Let's do this bowl. This burner is not on. That's why I'm setting it here. Don't do this if it's on, obviously. There we go. Boom. Where's our sour cream? I know we have sour cream.
No. It's not right.
Aha! Found it! Alright, excuse me, ma'am.
Sandy says, what about Greek yogurt?
Yeah, any fatty white substance, Greek yogurt, sour cream. If you have creme fraiche, go for it. Yeah, whatever you want. A little dollop. A dollop right there. Save some dishes, use the same spoon. If you're a crazy wild person like me, add a little bit of ghost pepper or your preferred sauce of choice. Sriracha goes great in here. Maybe a little bit of salt to finish for some savoriness. And boom, there you go.
Oh.
And then while you're doing that, you can grab your taters. I would highly recommend
Move it,
not
dog.
using a colander like that.
Oh.
Because I need it for this. And now I'm burning myself. Straining these as soon as you get them out.
Into the sink.
Hey, we got 99% of them, okay? We're not the Marines. There are some men left behind. Okay. So you can see those are nice and brown.
Put the colander over the sink.
Very stupidly grabbed that one out of a hot pan. Use something that's heat proof. And boom. So now you just go in there and pick out your bay leaves. They had a nice little aroma. You've got all these beautiful little potatoes that you could use for whatever you want, or honestly, you could just eat them by themselves. And don't tell McDonald's this, but these are better than French fries. Add whatever herbs or spices you want to them. So in this time period, using an oven and a microwave and a stovetop, we've made 3 dishes. We have potatoes with our beautiful little Indian-inspired garbanzo bean masala mix here that's spicy and creamy and beautiful. And then the beans that Ashton, I think, is already finished. But yeah.
Bye, Internet!
Anyway, this is Cooking with Kenny. Tip for the grocery store, real quick. Don't buy a lot of one thing. When you go to a grocery store, buy a little bit of everything. Because when we all buy a lot of one thing, that's when food shortages happen in that particular area of food.
Meat!
So, as we've all probably noticed, that's happening in the meat department right now.
But we don't have that problem.
Well, you're vegetarian and I'm like half vegetarian, so we're not really worried by that. So this is why we've done a nice little vegetarian cooking episode, is to maybe, if you have to eat less meat in the near future, you know how to make really good, savory, yummy stuff without using meat.